Lots of people are asking about your writer's block, and they want to know if you have been able to write again. And they also thank you for being so open, and they're really touched about that you're so open about it, and they're really touched. And but they're all asking about it.
Only in Holland can you be open. Special, wonderful, mercantile, tolerant people who understand the fetish. No, I haven't been able to write again. But then this is so much better. You're never alone. You're creating things without any stress and strain. And above all, you don't have to work all night, the only time I can work. And let's say you get out of your cabin quickly in the morning, and there are all these wonderful, lovely, beautiful people, and you can't be miserable. But I don't think I will write again. I doubt it.
You found a new career.
5 books is enough, perhaps. Maybe I'll be happy now.
Well, people would want to read more, I suppose, but you're now on a TV career then, instead of a writing career.
Well, a lovely idea, yeah. Yes, you couldn't, at no stage could you call this work, or anything to do with it, even at 5 in the morning.
Well,
I mean, look at it, it's just so beautiful.
Just to remind people that are just watching us and haven't seen the beginning. Je kunt je vragen stellen via Twitter. Stuur dan een berichtje op Twitter en zet daar hekje vpro BGL in. Dan zien we je vragen voorbij komen. We krijgen wel heel veel vragen, dus het lukt waarschijnlijk niet om ze allemaal te beantwoorden. Maar we gaan ons best doen. Dub91 wants to know how did it feel in that school when they said evolution is rubbish or nonsense?
Oh, well, it's just briefly terribly depressing, and that's happening, of course, in every Muslim country. But I was pleased that now evolution by natural selection is perfectly all right up until mankind, or in Islam. So they were taught evolution, but just did not apply to us. My first reaction, I buried my head in my hands and was told that I couldn't do that. We had to retake the whole thing, shoot it. God injected a soul into man probably 100,000 years ago, just at the Homo sapiens sapiens level. But that's exactly what Alfred Russel Wallace came to think in his later years. So no, I thought that's fine, and not just that, but that little school. I don't know if it's in the film or not, I haven't seen it, but it had won all these prizes for botany. It had a few straggly little plants struggling in the school garden. So there was some science.
Let's see. Peter Mitt has a personal question for Redmond. Your father was a vicar. Did this influence your struggle with creation or evolution?
Absolutely. No, it made it incredibly exciting. He was very strict. In fact, from a Scottish Presbyterian background. And if I had been reading Lady Chatterley, well, which I did in the vicarage and got caught, that would have been bad. But to be caught reading The Origin of Species, or even Alfred Russel Wallace, would be absolutely, utterly terrible. I knew that. So imagine, I read The Origin of Species at 14 with a torch in my little bed with the covers over it. So that made Darwin just so exciting, so wicked. So I owe him quite a lot for that, really. And also because he was, really did believe, he was a natural theologian, as it would have been called. Late Victorian, really, his whole world. So it was easy for me to see what was going on in Victorian England, because that's how I grew up. And he really did think that God had put the eye spots in a butterfly's wing for our delight, because it's beautiful. That's what God does. But then when I was reading Darwin, it occurred to me, probably not the moth or the butterfly, there with the wings on the top of the hedge. Along comes a sparrow. Butterfly senses it. What? Opens the wings. There's this owl, these huge eyes looking at it, and the sparrow wets itself and falls off the branch. It seemed to me there's just no comparison between these two explanations of how the world works. I go for the sparrow wetting itself every time.
So it was like forbidden fruit to you.
Absolutely, yes. So you can imagine
evolution.
how wonderful that made biology.
Is that why Darwin and the evolution theory are so inspiring for you? Because that's what Piet Sprengers would like to know.
Yes, I think so. But then anything... Oh, can you hear that? They're really beautiful, these Australian harbour gulls. Yes, but any passion you can manage to develop, it's a bit hard telling people that, but before puberty, certainly in early childhood. So that lasts you right through life without any kind of intellection. You don't have to think about it. It just comes in a rush of pleasure. And for me, I was 4 3/4, and on the vicarage lawn, and a missel thrush had been clearing out her nest, because when your chicks are hatched, you want to get the inside of the eggshells out, so that predators, magpies, can't see it so easily. So she was flying across, dropped it in front of me on the vicarage lawn by the sundial, and I thought that it was a present just for me, this 1/2 of a missel thrush eggshell. No, it was certainly a present from the missel thrush, if not from God. So I began an egg collection, and of course that was absolutely the right thing to do, because by studying nature, by studying even the collection of birds' eggs, which I'm allowed to do now, of course, that was for the greater glory of God, because He'd made everything. And that's why biology and science as a whole really began in Protestant countries, in England and Holland and Germany and Scotland. Because to get a perfect series of, say, earwigs was a wonderful thing to do, because God had made each one, as Paley himself said, Natural Theology 1802. If God had made the hinges in the legs or in the antennae of an earwig, imagine how much more He'd made them perfect, how much more care He'd lavished on us, how grateful we should be. What a lovely, comfortable, happy world it was.
What is an earwig? Or
Earwigs, or
what's that?
An earwig, little thing, very common, with pinchers, long insect like that.
Okay.
The one that
Organ,
crawls into your ear
yeah,
if you're camping at night. Yeah.
Okay, it's
But
organ
any
in
insect
Dutch.
would do for the point. Yeah.
All right. I was just wondering. Stijn Klaas would like to know, how do you prepare yourself for a tropical expedition?
Well, the great thing is to go and visit the Special Forces if you can. And they'll give you the really important thing, is this powder, zinc sulfate powder. Now lad, when you wake up every morning, you put that powder on your crush, stick it right round your dick and your balls, and then you'll be okay. All day long. And when you come back here, when you get back to Erevan, you stop it at once, because it's sissy. Wallace, I don't know how they managed. They didn't actually. They got terrible tropical fungus, awful. Found it couldn't walk sometimes. Heavy clothing. I don't know how they did it. But now with Savlon creams and so on, and antibiotics, I'm afraid you need now for jungle ulcers, tropical ulcers. You get all up your legs and you're bitten to pieces, and eventually the pain, you don't feel it anymore when you're covered in black fly bites. You change colour. You go a sort of shade of dark brown. From black fly don't inject you like a mosquito. They have no manners at all. They just rasp your skin, and when it bleeds, they suck it up. So it's a bad place to be in the Amazon. And well, the worst thing was, I even knew how to counter this, but we were afraid we'd run out of food and had nothing. We shot a tapir, a Curipaco Indian did, and so we skinned it. Big thing like a Shetland pony. Wonderful.